Took myself to League Two club, Forest Green Rovers at the weekend. To the Cotswolds, to darkest Gloucestershire, and I saw Forest Green Rovers beat Colchester United by 5 goals to 0. You and I both know the owner of Forest Green Rovers, of course we do,
Dale,
Simon. He
indeed,
is activist, campaigner, Dale Vince, who more recently has been giving his views at the Labour Party conference. Yes. Before that,
political
at the
donations
Conservative Party conference as well. A green campaigner, of course. Green energy is Dale Vince's life and his business, and he's an extremely successful businessman, as you were just saying as well, Simon. Dale also has his views on the current Israeli-Palestine situation, so much so that Forest Green Rovers would ordinarily fly the Palestinian flag at a home match, but did not do that at the weekend. We get onto that topic, but before that I spoke to Dale about being a football club owner and how that in itself was still very important to him.
Yeah, it is. Not being the owner per se, but being involved in the club and being able to kind of do the things that we've done and use football as a way to communicate with people, football fans in particular, but it's gone wider than that. It's the whole world of sport now, and we have so much media attention that people know what we do, what we stand for.
Does being such a part of this football club help you push the green cause?
Yeah, no doubt.
Does it help you do it another way?
Our central philosophy is exactly that, another way. We renamed our road to be that. And our core message to people is that to live this life we need to live, call it net zero, call it green living, call it what you like. We haven't got to give stuff up, right? Whether it's cars, burgers, football, diamonds, and we've done all of those and other things. We can have the stuff we love, we just have to get it another way.
You're a passionate believer about that. It's your life, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been. Last couple of decades, we've seen the rise of concern about the climate. Obviously, it's an existential threat, the biggest thing that we face, will have faced as a species, and yet the emergence of technology as well, that's become economic now, more economic than the old way of doing things, and all of that's come together at this point. Happens to be in my life, which is super exciting for me, and we get to change the world.
Will you always have time for football, Dale? Or will you turn to politics eventually?
I'll always have time for football. And I'm kind of in politics now. I'm not going to be an MP or anything like that. I made that decision last year. But I'm in politics to the extent that I'm talking about the green economy. I'm myth-busting. The things that the Conservatives are saying right now are untrue, that it costs us too much money to go green, all that kind of stuff. So I'm here to debunk the nonsense from the government and say, look, I run several businesses in the green economy. We are 800 people. We turn over £500 million, Jim. We're serious about business and the environment. And what we're trying to tell people is they're the same thing now.
You would normally fly the Palestinian flag at this ground, and today you didn't. Why was that?
It was out of respect for the families and friends of the people that have been killed on both sides. We put out a statement to say that we condemn the murder of civilians by Hamas. We also condemn the murder of civilians by Israel. That's happened. And, in respect to the people affected, we've had a no flag day. We normally fly 3 flags. We've lowered them all because we don't think today is a day for waving flags.
Will you fly the Palestinian flag again?
I will, because I support the people and their cause. They've been occupied for more than 50 years. They're oppressed like you wouldn't believe if you find the facts. They've lived within a sealed enclave for 16 years. They have no control of their borders. They're prisoners in their own country. It's against international law, and it's not the kind of thing that we in the West allow to happen anywhere in the world except the Middle East.
As and when you fly the Palestinian flag again, Dale, will you fly the Israeli flag alongside it?
No, I won't, Jim. I don't support what the Israelis are doing in Palestine. They are the occupying power. It is a completely one-sided affair, and honestly, I think that the West should do something about that. Even a fraction of what we've done to stand with Ukraine against the Russian invasion and occupation of that country, we haven't done that for Palestine, and for me, that's the most incredible double standards.
Simon, that was Dale Vince. You don't agree with political messaging on the field of play.
I don't, no.
Should owners like Dale be allowed to use his club as a vehicle for political and social messaging in general?
Look, the noise that Dale Vince makes from a club that's second to bottom in League Two with an average attendance of 3,000 is hardly going to reverberate around the world, is it?
You'd be surprised at that, though, Simon.
I'd be amazed.
And I tell you why. They get enormous interest in that football club from media all around the world.
I'm sure they do.
In the next box, there was a party from Borussia Dortmund wanting to know about green energy.
Well, of course, because the argument about sustainability and football being used as an opportunity to model sustainability is not a political argument. We all know that the climate is a challenging aspect. I mean, obviously, one of the most uncomfortable things I ever saw was Duncan Ferguson stand next to him talking to him about vegan pie. But the point is that the messaging, the imparting of wisdom that Dale has, where I disagree with Dale, I think it was atrocious that he was behind just old campaigners invading football pitches and chaining themselves to goals when he's a football club owner. So if you ask me that question, do I think he should have been put to the sword for that? And I think I told him to myself. I think I told him himself when he was on. I said, hang on a second, you can't get away with that sort of nonsense. I think he's distanced himself from those ridiculous zealots. I agree with him.
He would say it's not nonsense.
Well, I would
disagree. He believes very passionately.
I believe in climate change. I just don't believe in the ridiculous hyperbole going around climate crisis. There's a difference between the two. But the point is this: is that should people of influence inside the sport be able to impart wisdom and messages? Well, it's the same argument, isn't it? So what we're actually doing is we're actually advancing the argument, but people in positions of power that own football clubs can leverage their own particular message. Whether the rest of the world agrees with it or not, whether the fact that Dale is now dropping money into the Labour Party to fund them rather than the Green Party, bit of hypocrisy there, but that's a different discussion. No, I don't think he should be able to do it. I think that should be part of the charter that you sign up to, which is ultimately you cannot start imparting political and societal messages. If I'm saying the sport shouldn't do it and the FA shouldn't do it, how can I then say, well, actually, because I was an owner, I should be able to do it? No.
Even though he's bought the football club and it's his to do with as he pleases.
Well, again, it goes to the point that we discussed earlier on. Why does sport need to be utilised to serve out agendas? I know it suits Dale because Dale's making hundreds of millions of pounds out of an industry that he operates in. I notice he's not selling his business. He was selling his business a year ago. Now the opportunity for the green industry gets bigger. Dale's not selling his business. Different discussion. No, I don't think they should be able to do it.
At the end of the day, Martin, he's a man who has many opinions and stands by his opinion.
And he's a very smart man as well, by the way.
And he's a very smart man aside.
Yeah, very smart man.
The very fact that he chooses at that moment to stand in his own football club, after watching his own football club play a match, and impart a message, whether it's political or geopolitical or whatever, do you think he's entitled to do it? Sam would say, no, that is a boundary that's just that bit too far.
Well, I mean, he owns a football club, so I suppose one could say that he's entitled to do whatever he wants with the football club. But as Simon's just mentioned there now, that in terms of agreeing with somebody being, what was it, Simon, was it they were chained to...
yes, he used just the oil guys were chaining themselves to goalposts.
To the goalpost.
In the
goalpost.
On the crucible,
yes.
orange on the table, go to Wimbledon. Yes. This lot, yes. Dale quite happily told everybody that he...
Yeah, so we discussed this here about an hour ago, and honestly, and I don't know the man, so it's very unfair of me to say. So I'm sort of generalising rather than anything else. But you know, if it's his football club and he chooses to do whatever he wants, then that's up to something that is. If the supporters agree,
where's the difference between what we discussed, though? I mean, I think he should be committed for a variety of different reasons. But the point is this: is where does the line draw? You and I found
correct.
You and I found some agreement about it's not football's job. Now Dale buys a football club and then makes it football's job because he owns the football club.
But hang on a second, an owner can't push a political message, but he can push his own commercial message. Like Mike Ashley did with Sports Direct in Newcastle.
But that's a very different thing, isn't it? No one's going to be divided
about
where you buy.
You're choosing to push.
Hold on. Nobody's going to be divided about where you buy.
His club.
Nobody's going to be divided about where you buy your trainers from, are they? I mean, we're not talking about societal changes.
No, but Newcastle fans were divided by it.
No, they were divided. They were divided by let's be silly. So let's get it right. The Man City fans aren't divided by the fact that the entire aspirations of Mansour is to promote his particular part of the world. Their shirts are sponsored by businesses that he owns. They like him because he spends lots of money. The Newcastle fans didn't dislike Mike Ashley because he wanted to promote his business. They disliked Mike Ashley because of the way he ran their football club. So it's different.
Okay. Dale Vince, and you heard him there, he did say, will you fly the Palestinian flag again? He said yes, but not alongside the Israeli flag. Forest Green Rovers, for the record, won 5-0 on the day, and they've some way to go to get up that League 2 table.